I first heard the term used in a story. I was actually in a boat and someone was telling me the story about how sailors who had been out at sea for a long time would get assimilated to the movement of the water, and how the term helped to describe their ill feeling when on land. I feel like I really remember this memory because despite being born and raised in San Diego, and for reasons I can't really explain, I've never really felt like I've been at home. When I'm out on open water, I'm consumed by the feeling of familiarity. Somehow my body knows that it's been there before. Muscle memory. The water rocks back and forth. The ocean. It soothes me. The movement in the water takes me. It's a feeling. I call it home. My understanding of family has always been connected to distance. The space between us, how far we are, where we're from, and how often we see each other. I absorbed the evolution of generation, culture, language, and behavior. The water heals me. And while I'm on land, I'll always deal with the strange feeling and memory that reminds me of elsewhere. The pictures that you see in the boats are images of my family. I was really excited when I first saw the photos when I went to the Philippines, and I felt like for the first time I saw the history of my family in images that belonged to me, that represented who I was. The images that I collected were from these photo albums that my grandma gave me. She had mentioned that they had been through several years of water damage, and that if I wanted them, that I could have them. And that was really special to me because I feel like it was a new sensation to look at images from the past of people that actually look like me, and that they were images that connected to stories that she could tell me. I think that's like a really big thing because I feel like I grew up not really seeing myself represented in the media, that I couldn't read about who I was in a book or find my culture in literature. I think part of the reason why I use art as a vehicle to talk about things that are hard to talk about is that if I don't see myself represented in the media, that I need to take the responsibility to help make that change, make that contribution to the understanding that I hope to see in the world. For me, the boat is really symbolic of travel and distance, something that I feel like is a big part of my life. Being first generation American makes the relationship between all the different generations in my family have a lot of gaps, because not only are we separated by time, but we're also separated by culture, and that's a really complex thing when you think about culture and family and identity. It's hard to describe the difference between those layers when everyone's going through it all at the same time. I feel like when you grow up in a first generation American family, it's really hard to raise a kid when you experience culture clashes. And it's hard to say if you're doing things wrong or right, because you don't really have an example to follow. And you're just trying to do the best that you can. One of the reasons why I really like the paper boat is that the process of folding is really like a meditation for me. And when I see the images as I fold the boat in its different steps, I feel like it really shows the complexity of growing up in a binational family, and where your sense of tradition and culture changes and evolves, and that the different generations of your family live life very differently and have different sense of what's good and what's bad, what's right, what's wrong. Growing up with a dad in the military meant for me that I saw him about 6 months of the year when I was growing up. And so I think the boat form also makes me think about where I thought my dad would be when he wasn't at home. In the albums that I was going through that I took home from the Philippines, I actually found a lot of pictures from my dad, and they were images that he would send to his mom in the Philippines when he was traveling in the military. And the pictures became really important to me because it showed me that my family had been dealing with distance for a really long time, and that distance is actually something that is really in our blood, and that separation and the emotions that come with that is something that's not really new to me. It's something that all generations of my family have been dealing with for a long time. I think that the photos show, despite our generational differences, that me and my family have something in common, that we all share this feeling that's really hard to explain. It's about wanting to be in two places at the same time, the things that we gave up, the need to give your family the best life that they can have, living up to the expectation of our parents, fulfilling the legacy of our grandparents, our ancestors. There's a lot of feelings that we have to deal with that we don't really understand.